Greetings, BArcadians, and welcome to the virtual towns of Binary Arcadia and, of course, another edition of the BA News Show. With your host today, just me, just Tabs. No Rich, unfortunately. It's going to be a solo fest, this one. A little bit worried about it. Already feel out of my depth, but we'll give it a good bash for you. So yeah, plenty to talk about with the PS5 Showcase, hot on the heels of that, and then the Nintendo Direct Mini today, so loads to cram in. Normally, Rich and I would have a chat about what games we've been playing this week. Right, what have I been playing? For me, I've mostly been playing Monster Hunter Iceborne, I would say. I've still got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 on ice. I'm going to have Super Mario All-Stars 3D tomorrow, just prior to my holiday, so loads to play. I've got to catch up on the Short Hike as well, which I downloaded for the Switch. But just loving Iceborne at the minute, just, you know, working up that loadout. It's very addictive, constant little tweaks, grinding away. I'm a hammer wielder in Iceborne, so yeah, it's quite the stress reliever, I would say. But yeah, I think that's about it.
Whoa, Tabs. You're not going to ask me what I've been playing?
Rich?
All right, mate.
Right, now that terrible gag is out the way.
Yes, BArcadians, I decided with such a monster week in the news, I couldn't not join with all of the PS5 news. I couldn't not join the news this week, so I've dashed out for my holiday to be on the BA News Show this week.
Parked up down a country road somewhere, Rich, much like your viewing of the PS5 Showcase, I'm sure, last night.
Absolutely, just to get some signal. But
Go
yeah,
on then, tell us what you've been playing.
So this week, much like last week, mostly been playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, really getting into it. Done probably quite a lot of the easier things on it, so now I'm into the more hard stuff, quite grindy now, I would say, no pun intended. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm absolutely loving the fact that it's 2 minutes and it's like really focuses the mind. I'm really enjoying that. I think that's lost on games nowadays.
I mean, mate, we've heard from data mining that there's some Switch controls hidden in there somewhere. It would be the perfect game for the Switch, wouldn't it? With that in mind, as you say, short bursts, sleep mode, in and out. Oh, please.
Absolutely. And having said that, on the back of that, I can't remember whether you can remember having a Game Boy Advance and I think you had Tony Hawk's, was it 2 on the Game Boy Advance? And it was awesome. It was so much fun to play because of that. You could literally pick it up and play it anywhere. It was fantastic. The
isometric view made it a little bit tough to adapt to initially, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It was very addictive once you got over that hurdle. But Rich, shall we move on with the news, my friend?
Go for it.
So, first topic of today is Microsoft trying to reacquire Bungie. So we took this for the most part from Eurogamer, but essentially speaking on the GameSpeak podcast, VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb, noted rumour reporter, video game gossip, said he heard Microsoft and Bungie had been in discussions. Although the two companies had not been able to agree on a sale price, Eurogamer has independently heard that these talks have taken place, driven on Bungie's side by a desire to raise new funds for the studio, its projects and staff. But replying on Twitter to internet tipster Nibble, Bungie boss Pete Parsons said it was false that Microsoft had been in talks to acquire Bungie multiple times and that each time the talks had fallen through due to Bungie's price. Again, thanks to Eurogamer, that one. So Rich, I mean, what do you make about this, my friend? We know that they used to own Bungie, of course, from, the Halo franchise, which the rot has set in a little bit, you would say, since they've left that franchise. And since then, Bungie's, of course, been very busy with Destiny, got caught up with Activision for better or worse, again, to fund their ambitions. It's been a little bit of a checkered road, I think, for both of them since their departure from Microsoft. But what do you make of all this, my friend?
I mean, it's very interesting. We know that Halo is at a point of struggle in its development life. We know the people at Bungie have had a lot of experience in developing Halo. Is there some correlation between Microsoft pursuing what we hear again for the purchase of Bungie? Is it to get some of those people who previously worked on Halo, to get them on board within the umbrella so that they can maybe move them on to the Halo project? Possibly. We know they're trying to sort of fan the flames in that regards at the moment with new people coming in, so it's possible. I think there's some credence to this rumor. We know that Microsoft, they want to improve their games lineup throughout. We know that's sort of a stumbling block for them, so it makes sense that they would want to bring Bungie back on side. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one, and could the increased revenue that could come from that, is that going to see some of the franchises come with bigger, better iterations such as Destiny, etc.?
Personally, I'd love to see it, mate. A homecoming for Bungie. Microsoft need a lot of help with their software, as we've talked about in recent weeks. And as much as I did play and enjoy Destiny to an extent, it became a bit of a cash cow for them, and something which kind of goes against some of my morals as a gamer, and certainly from a consumer perspective didn't feel great at times. But yeah, I'd love to see them get bought back up and strike a deal, but I suppose it's complicated, isn't it, when you negotiate things like this? But Rich, do you want to take us on to topic number 2?
Absolutely. PS5 production woes, should I say. Now, before we move on to the showcase, which is the next news item we've got, earlier on in the week we heard that Sony had reportedly cut its estimated PS5 production for its fiscal year, which goes to March 31st next year, by around 4 million units, bringing the new total to 11 million, following what they're saying is production issues with its custom-based system on chip for the new console. And it came as way of a Bloomberg report suggesting that Sony had orders with suppliers in anticipation of heightened demand for gaming holiday season and beyond. However, manufacturing issues of these caused by production yield as low as 50% for some of its system on chips, which have hindered its ability to produce as many PS5s as planned, hence the 4 million drop. Now,
however,
yeah, I mean, I have to say, go on, Tabs, you may as well carry on with that now you've started it.
Yeah, I mean, Sony have since come out basically to deny this, I think. I don't actually have to hand the exact response, but I'm pretty sure they've come out to basically say, no, that's not the case at all. We do know that they've also been kind of resorting to air freight to ship PS5s in time for, holiday 2020. So, yeah, I mean, suffice to say, I think there's definitely some issues going on here, and I can't believe that if Bloomberg reported it, they don't tend to get a great deal wrong, in my experience anyway.
The only thing I'll say is there is actually some prior on this, isn't there? We know that cell processor in the PS3 was plagued with this same issue because of its crazy architecture, and it had again very low yields through the productivity, and that created a problem with demand when it first came out. So there is some history on this being a thing with production of chips.
And we know Sony have taken a very inventive approach, credit to Mark Cerny, in terms of the way they're boosting CPU and GPU above and beyond the clock speeds that might normally be expected from these chips. So has that caused some issues perhaps? Has it, made those yields a little bit less successful?
Yeah, because we were basically saying that there's a potential that because they're going to these higher chipsets, it's possible that not every chip that's on a silicon wafer can actually meet the demands. Because as we know, computer components, they do vary from component to component. You can put a graphics card, a processor in, and a seemingly identical one, and they can make different clock speeds. Now, if they're having to be tested to ensure that they get to a certain clock speed to be viable, then that's potentially what's causing this low yield. But again, they have...
It's all conjecture. We don't know, but yeah, they don't want the press, do they? So I suppose it's in their interest to come out and poo-poo it. I mean, we'll come back to this, Rich, won't we, in the next topic, but yeah, it does sound like it might not be that easy to get your hands on a PS5 this Christmas.
Absolutely, and to be fair, that's a great segue into the next item, Tab, so take us forwards.
Indeed. So yeah, all about the PS5 Showcase. So as avid viewers of the channel will know, I rocked up and did a solo reaction piece with Rich on holiday. Glad you're joining me now, my friend. I hear that you were watching from a country road in the outback somewhere, wherever you are.
Indeed.
So yeah, plenty to go through here. Let's whiz through it and then we can share our thoughts. So blow by blow, we got an announcement of Final Fantasy 16 to open. A console exclusive that's also coming to PC, we think. Although I think there was some some errors made during this announcement to do with PC games playing on the PC as well as the PS5. We then got Miles Morales, Spider-Man, of course, a kind of cross-section of that. We got, and just to bolt on there, apparently Miles Morales is also going to be now cross-gen with PS4. So what, Rich? A PlayStation exclusive, no longer a PS5 exclusive, along with the likes of Sackboy Adventure and Horizon Forbidden West, which is something for us to come back to. What else did we get? We got Hogwarts Legacy, the kind of leaked, heavily rumoured Harry Potter game, which I know Rich is excited about. We got another look at Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, another look at Resident Evil Village, which I'm very excited about. Oddworld Soulstorm also got a time in the spotlight. Five Nights at Freddy's, Security Breach, one I'm not particularly familiar with. Deathloop, the game from Arcane, the guys who make Dishonored, guys and girls who make Dishonored. Demon Souls, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. Fortnite's coming to the PS5. We also got what was revealed as the PlayStation Plus collection. So essentially a library of acclaimed PS4 titles, which seems to be Sony's answer to Game Pass, which look very interesting. So yeah, for PlayStation Plus members, subscription holders, they get this library available at launch of the PS5, I believe. And then finally, we got the surprise reveal of God of War Ragnarok, which is coming next year, apparently. Just a teaser trailer on that one, but very exciting nonetheless. And Rich, do you want to just talk us through prices?
Yeah, so not obviously this whole showcase was more about announcing prices and release date of the PS5. And I don't know, 30, 35, 40, maybe even 40 minutes into this, Sony finally announced that the PlayStation 5 is going to be priced at, in the UK, $449.99. That's for the disc edition, while the digital edition is going to cost $359.99. They also announced the release date, which is going to be the 12th of November in the US, Japan, Canada, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, and South Korea. And the rest of the world will be the 19th of November, including the UK here. The PS5 digital edition, however, costs more than £110 than the Series S. But it's worth remembering that the PS5 digital edition is basically a standard PS5 edition, just with the optical drive removed, whereas the Xbox Series S is less powerful than the Xbox Series X. And that information came from a little roundup from Eurogamer. Yeah, what do you think of this then, Tabs? I thought it was a great showcase.
Yeah, I was really excited. I think they hit, they got some big games out the doors, some surprises with Final Fantasy 16, God of War 2. They were kind of rumoured, they were spoiled somewhat before, but nevertheless, it was good to see them deliver on that. It just felt, it sagged a little bit in the middle for me, but apart from that, it was good. I would give it an 8 or 9 out of 10 in terms of the showing, in terms of the games we're seeing, and the way the whole showcase was designed and put together. It was quite punchy. The interviews with developers were not dragged out too long, and yeah, overall really good showing. I think the only issue is, Rich, is what came after the showcase, which maybe you can tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I would agree 8 or 9 out of 10. Sony were doing what Sony do best. They were letting their games do the talking. It was game after game after game, whether there were some games that were maybe a little bit flatter because they didn't interest me as much as some of the other ones, but I thought that was really cool. I thought it was cool that they were open and honest about the Final Fantasy 16 trailer was running on a PC and not running on a PS5, and that they were genuine when they said everything past that point was running on a PS5 or captured directly from a PS5. Yeah, and then obviously we came out with the fact that the pre-orders were going to be coming. After the showcase, they said the pre-orders would be coming tomorrow from select retailers. Well, that sort of was a bit of a miss for me, because I think about 10 to midnight-ish last night, Tabs, both me and you managed to bag a pre-order from Game, which obviously wasn't even tomorrow. So people were waking up to the news that you could order a PS5 and nowhere had any stock of PS5 left.
This is it, and that's put in contrast because Sony in recent weeks came out to say, don't worry, we're not just going to drop pre-orders on you last minute, you'll have some time to prepare. Obviously they intended that, so how much you can actually blame on Sony? Seemingly these select retailers just broke their embargo or whatever, just decided to go a bit rogue. I mean, we were just looking opportunistically almost on the, I don't know, the previous experience that sometimes these things don't quite go to plan. So obviously we're really pleased to have bagged one each, we hope, although I've not got my confirmation email from Game yet. But at the same time, I do feel terrible for people who went to bed thinking, okay, well, I'll wake up tomorrow, I'll get an early night, I'll be up for 9, and hopefully I'll be able to grab my PS5. And then I think in the UK at least, Smith's Toys and Game had all sold out of their allocations. Hopefully, if you're one of those people, Barcadians, you managed to grab one from, I think, Curry's. Amazon went live today, didn't they, Rich?
They did, yeah. I mean, it's very interesting, isn't it? I mean, we both registered our interest on Game, and we both had an email, albeit I didn't see mine because it gone into my junk email at about 20 past midnight last night, saying PlayStation 5 pre-orders are live. Well, I would guess lots of people would have been in bed at that time. So they would have woke up this morning, saw the email saying, oh, PS5 pre-orders are live, gone to Game, and there's none left.
This is it. So great showcase. Bungled the pre-order launch, though, I would say. Whether that's their fault or not, draw your own conclusions, Barcadians. And also this cross-gen, Miles Morales, Horizon Forbidden West, and Sackboy Adventure feels like something of a reversal on what we thought were PS5 exclusives, therefore focusing on, the technology and making the most of the hardware. It's not a bad thing necessarily, it's pro-consumer, but it just seems a little bit strange, doesn't it, Rich?
Yeah, and I do wonder whether if they do think there's going to be some supply issues, which currently we're in that right now, because we've luckily managed to get a PS5, but there's lots of people that are sat at home thinking, I haven't got my pre-order yet. There will be more waves, I'm sure, being released. But if they are going to think there's going to be some supply issues, does that mean they don't think they're going to be able to sell as many of those games on the PS5? And that's why financially it's more viable to go, okay, well, we best port this to a PS4 Pro as well to ensure we sell plenty of units.
Absolutely. I mean, just to end on a bit of a better note, the price for me, it is very keen. I think They've hit a really nice point with that. I think, with the digital edition at $359.99, only £110 more than the Xbox Series S, and obviously cheaper than the Xbox Series X. It feels like they're going to have this generation wrapped up, really, for me at this point. So really chuffed to bits with that. Bit of a bungled launch with the pre-orders and then this cross-gen announcement. But, for the most part, Rich, I think as Sony, as PlayStation fans, we were pretty chuffed, weren't we?
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
So let's move on to everything else. So, Rich, shall I kick us off?
Go for it, mate.
So, first up, I think we're going to come back to this, aren't we, Rich? But there was a rumour, was there, Rich, that Monster Hunter Rise will feature some of Monster Hunter World features expected to be announced to Switch any day now. And it was actually announced in the Nintendo Partner Direct Mini today. And that's going to be releasing on March the 21st next year, 2021. Excitement for us. Rich, take us away.
Absolutely. And to be fair, we may as well do the Nintendo Direct stuff now while we're on that. So what else did we see from the Nintendo Direct? As well as the Monster Hunter Rise, we also saw another Monster Hunter game called Monster Hunter Series 2, which was announced, which looks like an anime art
Stories,
style.
I think it was called, Rich. Stories 2.
Oh, okay, was it? I apologise. Which looks like an anime art style Monster Hunter where you fight alongside monsters rather than against them, Tabs, or in a collaboration. I didn't actually see this, so...
Yeah, it seems to be more of perhaps a solo adventure piece focusing on the story, hence the title, which is interesting. It deviates from what we come to expect from Monster Hunter, but might be worth keeping an eye on. Had some, I would say, almost Breath of the Wild style visuals, and if they can nail down that, that story, maybe it'd be worth playing. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And then we've also got Ori and the Will of the Wisps, we think is a big scoop for the Switch. It's been hotly anticipated by fans of that series. We know the original game came to Switch and we were left out in the cold, weren't we, on the Switch, Rich, in terms of this expansion. But now it's coming, and it was announced to be released straight away after that Direct. So if you are interested, Barcadians, get out and play it now. Your weekend's sorted. But absolutely. Rich, take us back. What have we got after this Nintendo Direct? What else?
So interestingly, and I guess maybe that's the theme, given the the fact that some of these PlayStation 5 exclusives have now become PlayStation exclusive. Sony's Jim Ryan expects the PlayStation 4 to stay relevant for 3 or 4 years, which sort of stacks up with the reasonings behind maybe the cross-platform or cross-generationing some of them games.
Yeah, maybe they backpedaled a bit because of Microsoft's approach to it. They just want to cover all bases and play it safe. But anyway, yeah, Cyberpunk 2077, the system requirements are likely to be detailed in the new Night City Wire video, I should say. I think is that word on the street, is it, Rich?
Absolutely, and I believe that is Friday, so this evening as you're watching this, or tomorrow for us.
We film on a Thursday. Oh, I'm excited for that then, Rich. Thank you for that one. I didn't know.
Yeah, no worries. The NVIDIA 3080 graphics card is being touted as the largest generational leap in GPU history, which is absolutely incredible.
Wow, fantastic. And then finally, Super Mario 3D All-Stars, my copy should be arriving tomorrow, seems to have gone down well with reviewers, and it's currently sitting at 83 on Metacritic. From what I've heard, Rich, it's a solid port. I think there's a mixture of emulation and native running as well amongst those 3 games, but perhaps a little bit lazy as well. There could have been a little bit more effort put into it, but 83, you can't argue with that.
The only thing I'll say is they are ports, they're not remakes. That's what we all need to sort of remember on these things. They're sort of bringing us the originals, but just being able to play them on the Switch. So obviously bear that in mind.
This is it. But I think that'll do us for this week, Rich.
Absolutely.
Thanks to all the BArcadians for joining us for another edition of the BA News Show. Smash that like button for us. If you aren't already, make sure you subscribed and you ring that bell for notifications to stay abreast of everything we do. And why not? While you're there, share it on social media. Share this with a friend. Help us to grow and support the channel. We appreciate it. And that's, Rich, another one for the archives, I think, my friend.
Stamped and completed. That's good, mate. High energy.